What's up guys, Tomcat here. So this week I'm not getting out to play any paintball, so I figured I'd do a Q&A period through Instagram, and I wanted to answer some of the questions that you guys had. Alright, so let's get into it. It's_Eddie asked, if you could change something about the NXL, what would it be? Alright, so what would I change to the NXL? I think I speak for a lot of players in the professional division, as well as within the divisional ranks, when I say that the NXL needs to do a better job at compensating professional and divisional players for playing in their tournament series. I don't run the league, nor do I have any background knowledge about how much it actually costs to run NXL events, but I do know as a player, the amount of money that you have to put in comparison to the amount of money that you are able to win back, it's just way out of whack. Divisional players and professional teams put out so much money to play these tournaments. You're playing 3 weekends in a row basically, that's 3 flights, all the costs associated with actually playing, and then that opportunity for you to win. Even when you win, the prize purse is so insignificant in comparison to the amount of money and the amount of time that you have to put out as players. I think if the NXL wants to continue and be successful as branding a professional league, and I'm not really sure how we can see that happen, whether it be through outside sponsorship or just a rearrangement of funds within the league, which I don't really see happening. I think that needs to happen before we see the NXL grow, and that's one of the big things that I'd like to see change in the NXL. Eula03 says, what are you looking forward to the most moving up to the pro division? For me, playing pro, what I'm looking forward to most is basically just being out on that main stage, seeing how my skills compare to all those other players. I've had the opportunity to practice a lot of professional teams. However, I recognize that actually playing pro tournaments is a little different. Different refereeing, different change of pace. There's a lot more on the line, and the teams are a lot more prepared at the tournament in comparison to how we play them at practices. So really, I'm just kind of looking forward to see how me and our team weighs up against all these professional teams. HK Shadow 14 asked, will there be any changes that you see for Aftermath this season? I personally don't think that we'll see too many changes as far as the roster and the team for Aftermath this year. We did make a couple pickups in the off season, and we did lose some players. So I think that we're going to kind of have to wait until an event or two to see how things play out, how the team's performing, and then I'd imagine our coach and our management will kind of look over everything and determine whether or not we actually need to make some changes. Eddie XSV asked, who are some of your favorite pro players? Basically, all the guys on Russian Legion, I admire those guys. They play paintball for a living, and a lot of their new players that they brought up a season or two ago, if you go back and watch webcast footage, I forget his name, the Snake player, Karsalev on the Drudo side, those guys are nasty players. They're super underrated, and I don't think that those guys would get as much exposure as some of the American pro players, Goldman, Keith, J-Rab, pretty much all of Impact's roster, the guys on Heat. But I'm a big fan of all those Russian Legion guys. Callum Zach 75 asked, what did you do to get to where you are now? That's a difficult question to answer in a short period of time. I guess the best answer I can give you, when I was a young kid, I've been playing for about 10 years or more now. I just love paintball. I eat, sleep, dream paintball. That's all I would do on weekends. When I come home, I'd play Greg Hastings paintball. I try and watch the ESPN series when that was on TV. I watch whatever YouTube videos I can. And I basically just try to soak in as much as I could about the sport, players. I'd watch as much paintball as possible, and then on weekends, I'd always be trying to play tournaments. I'd always try and practice people better than me. I guess my advice to anyone trying to get to the professional division is don't give up. It took me a long time. Playing out of Canada was also a barrier for me. In order to play professionally, even to compete divisionally, that meant driving 10 hours both ways to go to practices with teams like Distortion, or on Aftermath, I was paying for my flights to fly to California for a year. That being said, it costs a lot of money, a lot of time. I burned up a lot of my vacation hours doing that, but I would change it. Patrick Coche 14 says, what's your opinion on the Canadian paintball scene and the players comparing it to the US? So as far as Canadian paintball goes, I feel like we've kind of taken a step back, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. Basically, the CXBL was around for a long time. It was a great league. It was very expensive, and you kind of saw a lot of teams wash out of that division. The OPL has done a great job at creating a format that mimics the NXL, the same rules, they use the same layouts, so it's kind of hand in hand with how the NXL and the Premier Leagues are doing it. I think that CXBL kind of worked out because of their X-Ball format. They wanted to hold on to their X-Ball thing. This is how we do it here. Those matches were really long. You shot a ton of paint, you needed a lot of players, and I don't think that it was financially suitable for the player base here. It's just a lot of money. The OPL does a great job in that it gives players the opportunity to play the same series that they see the pros playing, Go Sports and the webcasts like that. And although I said we took a step back and we don't really have those higher divisions that you see in the States, the onset of the OPL is kind of building our player base back up. There's D3 and D4, and they get a lot of teams. And I'm sure in the next couple of seasons we'll see those D2, possibly D1 divisions come out of the OPL once we see the player level rate. Mitch Finley, my old teammate from Distortion and Image this past year, asked, what free agents are you most surprised you don't have a team? So I am surprised that Mitch Finley, he played on Image and Distortion, that he doesn't have a team. I'm not sure what he's doing or whether or not he's actually looking to play paintball this year, but he's a solid pickup. Hit him up if you guys need a player. A lot of the other guys on Image as well aren't playing. Drew Guppy, Ryan Dowling, who are all great players. I think they're kind of taking a season to regroup, but I am surprised that they're not playing or they haven't been picked up for 2019. James Falk asked, besides going pro, what was your biggest accomplishment? So my biggest accomplishment was winning World Cup with Distortion in 2017. We were predominantly a Canadian-based team. It was myself, Ryan Dowling, Garrett Baldwin, David Barga. Who else we had? We had Mike Kerr, Scott Graham, and Ryan Dowling. I'm not sure if I repeated any, but that was basically our roster. We had two guys, Mike Kerr and David, who were from Chicago, but they were at every practice with us, and they were a big part of the team. That being said, predominantly Canadian team. We'd been playing together for a long time. A lot of the same players had played on Toronto Force back in the day, Syracuse Rhythm, but that was a ton of Canadian guys, although it was based out of Syracuse. And we had played a lot of seasons together and just weren't able to really put things together. That event was important to me because throughout the season we had a second, we had a couple thirds. We were always just so close to getting that first place. And in the finals we actually played PC Katana. They gave us a lot of great games and beat us pretty badly a couple events. We couldn't beat those guys. We'd always lose by a point or two, get penalties, screw up. So to see them in the finals and to beat them and get that cup, although they won overall, that was really important to me and really important to the guys. A lot of us, it was the last time for a lot of us, it was the last time we would play together on the same team. So that definitely holds a special spot in my heart. So Matt _ 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 asks, favorite marker. Matt, my favorite marker is the Luxe. I know people are gonna be on me about, oh, this is sponsorship. I'll try and throw up some pictures, but I've had a Luxe 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, all the way through. I love the gun. They're super comfortable in my hands. I'm a bigger guy, so I enjoy the longer grip that the Luxe offers. Really efficient, really smooth, and all the stuff that they've came out with throughout the different renditions of the Luxe are really intuitive. Like, all the toolless parts is awesome. The coating that they put on the Luxe Ice bolt and the spring system in the bolts, and then everything with the Luxe. With the Luxe X, all the additions made to that, they're just constantly improving the platform, and I just love the gun. Momo628 asks, did you shoot the Luxe X yet? I have not shot the Luxe X yet. We should have it out. I'm hoping for our first practice when we'll be out in Camp Pendleton playing Dynasty. Fingers crossed that they make it there. I'm super excited. I'll definitely be doing a shooting video and a review on the Luxe X. A_K3933. So not based on sponsored, but Luxe X or CS2. People are gonna think I'm biased, but I have shot both guns. I've been with Planet Eclipse prior with Distortion, Syracuse, and other teams that I played on. Planet Eclipse guns are great. I have nothing against them. I think if you put a Luxe X in front of me and a CS2, I'm gonna go for the Luxe X. I feel like it's a more polished, refined product. I like all the stuff that they've done with it. Everything's toolless. You have that removable battery, which is kind of awesome for really long practice days. You don't want to worry about having 9 volts on you or charging your stuff. That's awesome. And it's just like a really sleek, smooth, awesome shooting gun. I'm going with the Luxe every day. Yeah boy _ Bob Ross TV asks, should I get a GI Sports Stealth or an RSX Shocker? So my answer for that is, it's kind of based on preference. I believe, and don't quote me on this, that with the Stealth you might be able to get a little bit more efficiency. It's a very simplified, older bolt design, and I know a lot of teams use that gun. You see AC use that, Image use that all year, and the AC Diesel Camp. And then you have the RSX Shocker, which teams like Thunder use. I think it's all personal preference. I'd get the gun in your hand, get a feel for it. If you are able to shoot it, watch some shooting videos, just kind of feel out what works best for you. I know that they're both kind of in a similar price range of mid-end guns. I would go for the RSX because of the more polished look of it and the smoother shot that traditionally comes with Luxes and Joggers. With the Stealth, it's that composite body. The gun looks cool and I'm sure it shoots great, but I'm not a fan of that kind of composite metal mix. I like the full metal gun. The RSX is, I believe, a 1 or 2 piece body, a lot more sturdy in my opinion, and it just looks cleaner. I'd go with the RSX. Jazz Dalt asks, is paintball your raison d'etre? So thank you, darling, for making me Google this one. So raison d'etre means the most important reason or purpose for someone or something's existence. Aside from my lovely fiance, Jazz Dalt, I'd say paintball is my raison d'etre. Next, I had a bunch of questions about drills, so I'm going to answer those to the best of my ability. Infamous_Brights asks, best drills to better your snake runs and dives off the break. My advice for that is just repetition. When you're out at practice, if you can get there early before other people, and especially if you have a turfed field, you're not going to be beating yourself out as much. Just get out there, have a light pack, put your pods in it, have all your gear on, and just run some repetitions slowly through that and generally speed it up. I think it's just one of those things that over time, as you do it, you'll become more comfortable and you'll develop a style that's suitable to you. Watch a lot of videos, see how other pros are doing it. That's one big piece of advice for basically every type of movement on the field. Watch the pros, mimic them, and try and implement that into your own practices and drill. EK_Marvin_Hernandez asks, what's the perfect drill for working on communication on the field? So that's a good one. This is actually a drill that we don't do that often, but I used to do this back in the day with N2 Factor when we were playing MXL and CXBL in Canada. Basically, we have 5-on-5s, and on each team, one player each point. We would use basically low paint. I believe we have. So this is a drill that we used to do back in the day when I was playing in lower divisional teams. So this is a drill that. So as far as drills for communication, this one's great, and I haven't done it in a long time, and maybe it's something that we should bring back. But we used to do 5-on-5s. Everyone would have a hopper of paint, and on each team, one player wouldn't have a gun. So that player's job solely for that point was to communicate and to ensure that everybody else communicates. Because you're not using a lot of paint in those drills, you're able to run more, especially if you don't have a big paint budget as a team. It will take some time, but you can kind of cycle through and have each player take that role for a point and just kind of start the practice off with that to kind of set the ground. And I think that drill is really good to kind of start a practice with to get everybody on the same page, because communication is such a huge part of the game that I think a lot of people overlook. They're more worried about their speed, snap shooting, things like this, but communication is super important and it shouldn't be overlooked. Pumatic Octopus asks, which teammate has the worst smelling gear? Yeah, so David Barga definitely has the worst smelling gear. He has this thing where he'll only wash it at the beginning and the ending of the season. He feels like it kind of accumulates luck throughout the season. I think it's mold, but yeah, it would be David. Biracial Angel 1 asks, what's one exercise or circuit in the gym that helps you the most in paintball? For me, aside from just general weight training, flexibility stuff, and anything that can help you get in shape, get in better shape, I think cardio is super important for paintball, especially if you're playing a lot of the points. You're one of those guys who's going to be going out there back to back, and when you get to the end of the season, you're in venues like Florida where it's really hot. Just cardio and aerobic conditioning is super important for paintball. Ace23 asks, what do you think are the 5 most important skills to learn, know, and have in regards to paintball? I think that's a tough one. It's a combination of a lot of things. So as we touched on before, communication, speed is important, your versatility. If you're a back player, you should be able to play the front player spot as well. You have to practice all of those positions. Fourth would be field awareness. And for my last one, I'd say landing and off the break shooting. Chris Vistro asks, what are some key drills you think that are important to do at a practice? So if we're talking like layout practices and you're specifically practicing for an event, a tournament, and you know the layout, the most important drill that you guys should be working on is your off the break shots. That's one thing that we really focused on as aftermath going into those events. We'd spend a lot of time getting those first shots on like the first inset bunkers, the snake, up the center, back at their shooters and whatnot. I think that made a big difference. If you're able to consistently shoot a guy off the break, you're looking good. Andrew T69 asks, tips for 1v1s. So I personally love doing 1-on-1s, and I think that one thing that separates a good 1v1 player versus a not so good 1v1 player is your field awareness. I see a lot of players that'll get engaged in a gunfight in a one-on-one and it'll stay on that side. The other player will have already switched hands and repositioned. So that being said, one of the most important 1v1 tips is to always kind of have your head on a swivel and be looking to lose the other player. My biggest focus in a 1v1 isn't necessarily winning that gunfight with the player, but it's how can I lose this player and have him in a situation where I know where he is, I have that advantage, and he has no idea where I am. So my biggest tip, work on losing that player. Don't focus so much on those gunfights. Try and outsmart them and be one step ahead of them with your movement. Nathan, I'm going to ruin this last name, Nathan _Gejl. When's the next time you'll be playing at Flag Raiders? So Flag Raiders indoor paintball is pretty close to me. It's about half an hour, 40 minutes. Basically, whenever my work schedule permits and the weather isn't terrible, I'll be out there. I usually post up on my Instagram when I'm at Flag Raiders, but if you ever want to get out there some night, hit me up on Instagram, let me know. I'm always down. CJ Rolnicki asks, how many team kills does Barger get per event? I'm excited for this season because I know that they do keep track of the kills on field. I want to say David gets at least 2 to 3 team kills per event, but we'll see once the Go Sports stats come out. He might be the kill leader this year for team kills. Sheeds S31 asks, do you do private clinics during the off season? The answer to that is yes, so just hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. I'll put my tag somewhere over here. Shoot me a message if you want to organize a clinic. I'm always down to get out there and teach you what I can. Jason Freeman 18 asks, would you hold a small paintball practice in Ottawa? We'd be happy to have you. Jason, 100%. Like I said before, get at me on Instagram. We'll set something up and make this happen. Miles Taylor asks, if you could pick any pro-European team to join, what team would it be? I think if I had to play for a European team, it would be Russian Legion. Those guys, as far as I know, they get paid to play. They play all week long, and they have an amazing camp facility. So, RL 100%. Connor Tomlin, 5K. Connor Tomlin asks, merch, ? So, merch. Before I wrap this video up, I do want to give you guys a heads up. I've got a ton of cool stuff coming out. I've got Tomcat SDA shirts and Tomcat stickers. I'll have them all with me at Vegas. They should be in right around then. So I'll bring them with me and I'll be posting up on Instagram how you guys can get that. The stuff's going to be cheap. I'm not really trying to make a bunch of money off this. I just wanted to have some cool gear and stickers to give my fans. So I appreciate you guys watching this. In about a week or two, we're out in Camp Pendleton, and that is our first actual practice weekend with Dynasty at Camp Pendleton. And I believe we're also playing Ironman. I'm not 100% on that, but I'm looking forward to it. I'll have a ton of cool footage. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll have another video soon.